now. Fuck this shit. I'm starting.
Fuck this motherfucking shit ass fuck. What's up, people?
Motherfucker.
So yeah.
Wait, give me the live chat link so I can talk to the peasants.
Okay, yeah.
The persons. You mean the people? You mean the
Peasant.
people?
Hey, Retro, don't call him that. Don't call him that. We're live, man. We're live.
The peasants
him,
like Jack
you called
Gates
him a
and
bitch, yo.
an insane gamer,
Yeah,
those types of
I
peasants.
hate that Jack Gates guy, man. He's shit. We're live. Yo, what's happening? Yeah,
Hey man, that dude's my sensei.
Hey,
Leave
Jack.
my
Hey,
sensei
Jack.
alone, yo.
Let's say hello to Arsenio Hall. He's on our podcast now. Under the name
What's up,
Clocked
man?
It. I don't know.
He's rhinoceros pizzles.
What are you guys? Who's Semi?
You
Semi
didn't
from
see Coming to America?
Coming to America.
Come on, yo.
Oh,
Come
on,
on, yo. Jeez.
I just thought maybe
I'm
he
so
was a different,
disappointed.
like an
I'm
actual
so
person.
disappointed in him right now.
Dude, I saw Coming to America when I was like 12 years old, and I haven't seen it since. Cut me some slack.
That makes. I've seen it when I was 8, and I remember the damn film. Jesus.
I couldn't tell you one thing about it.
Do you know who's in it?
Other than Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall were from Africa, and he was like a prince or
That's the storyline, pretty much.
We need a new segment when Juice describes movies he hasn't seen in years.
And there was a girl
Just stop.
in Brooklyn, Queens or something. Was it Queens?
No, she was his queen. She was
Fuck
his
you
queen.
too.
And so he thought she was a queen because she was from Queens.
Oh yeah, he's like, "Fuck you, fuck you too."
That's what I mean. Anyway,
Good ass film, by the way.
check out Clocked It's channel.
Check out Arsenio Hall.
There's
at,
a link
Clocked
in the
It.com.
description. There's
With
link.
my epic Juices Loose intro. I
That was
hope
the
you all
best
like
intro I've ever seen.
That's because his face was in it. He's a hater, man. I don't trust him.
Predator, I don't know, sound clip was priceless.
Come on now.
So I don't know where T's at. I see.
I want some juice. I ain't worried about tea.
I've been drinking more tea lately. You guys,
Which is funny. You know what? It's funny. I was drinking tea earlier. So
from across the pond, you might appreciate that. I drink some green tea.
I didn't drink that kind.
We got black tea and green tea at work.
Black tea's the best tea. So I didn't know what I'm talking about, right?
I love me some good black milky tea. I like a bit of black and white.
So yeah, Robert's not going to be here because he
Family.
forgot about his sister's birthday or something. So yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. Waiting for Key to get in here before we get into the Google stuff. Any
That's the
other
whole reason why we waited, though.
Any other news?
I can give my first impressions on Spider-Man, which I finally played if you want.
Yeah, what are we
Did that
playing
on
it
Twitter
for?
and your shit talk.
Like, because so I bought Spider-Man, like, yes, it was one of the reasons I wanted to buy a PS4, and Robert was talking about it a lot, so I was like, man, I gotta get this shit now. So I bought it, and like, seriously, this game is almost borderline gaming perfection. It is so fucking good. Like, you're playing this game, and like, the web slinging and everything, it is just so well done. It's so much fun. It feels like every movement you make to web sling is like a uniquely programmed move. You're like swinging, you're going around the corners, you're doing like loopings, walking on the building and shit. And the combat feels like just as cinematic. It's just so good. In the beginning, I was a bit afraid because like, I didn't find any collectibles in the world. And I was like, why would you make such an insanely giant world without collectibles? So I actually looked that up online if there really were no collectibles in the game. But apparently there are. I think I just haven't unlocked them yet in the world. It's kind of weird. So it's so fucking good, man. If you even like Spider-Man for like 5%, this is like a must-own game. It is that good.
Even if you hate the Arkham combat system.
Well, the combat, like I'm playing the Arkham games and shit. I don't think it's exactly the same because, you know, in the Arkham you're like fighting, and sometimes you have to counter. But I feel Spider-Man is one of those rare games. Your life depends on the counter.
I got annoyed with the counter.
It feels like it's kind of a unique system where it feels like a rock, scissors, paper thing where you have to constantly look at the counter thing, because if you forget to counter a couple of times, you actually die. So it's really like a thing of like counter, web sling, hit, shit, counter. It feels so intuitive and dynamic where it's not really like Arkham where you have to just like slowly pay attention because it's like all the fucking time.
Does
And
the
like,
triangle button flash over your head or some other?
yeah,
symbol?
like he has like this web symbol around his head
Yeah,
so that you
Spidey
see
sense.
it and everything. But I mean, like every single move, even in the fighting, like you're countering, you're sliding underneath an enemy, you're countering, you're blocking, he goes on the wall, you do another attack. Like there's so many moves, and like it feels like you're watching a cartoon. Like your character's like zigzagging all over the screen, over people, under people. You're webbing, you're throwing them. Like seriously, like the trailer of Spider-Man of the game, the original reveal. It's one of my favorite game trailers ever, and it feels so epic and intense. And the game seriously plays like that. It really plays like that. It is so good.
Yeah, you've sold me, man. I know now. I definitely never need to play that game. Everything you said sounded like the opposite of what I wanted to hear.
Which is weird because I see.
I absolutely.
Then again, this is the dude who fucking got on Twitter and was proud of his achievements and trials, and I was like, man, get the fuck out of here!
I absolutely hate
that bullshit.
The counter system.
Rep that Spider-Man retro. Fuck this man.
Constantly have to counter in Arkham. It got
to me.
I got so bored with that.
You were casual.
But the thing that makes it good in Spider-Man, the difference is, like I said, you have to do it a lot, and the fact that you have to counter like every few seconds. You, like I said, it's like a rock scissors paper game. You just gotta like. It's not like you're hitting buttons to fight and then you counter. It's really like, okay, now I gotta counter, hit, counter. It's like it becomes a game where you have to like counter, web, hit, counter. You have to really pay attention to it. Like it matters. Every button input matters. So it's not really like, oh, here's a counter again. It's like, no, you counted 5 times already at that point. But the way it's programmed, the way Spider-Man moves, depending on where you're standing to the wall, to the enemy, it's like you almost never see the same action twice when you're fighting a bunch of enemies. It is that well done, I feel.
Yeah, those pre-programmed moves.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the combat system in Arkham, by the way.
Good ass system.
I just got so bored with.
It makes you feel like Batman. That's the whole fucking point, yo.
I know what they wanted to do. They wanted a solution for combating a bunch of enemies at once.
Well, I mean, you're Batman.
It works for most of us.
It works.
It didn't work for Juice.
But man, by the end of the game, and then when I started the second Arkham City
is fucking god to you. I love it.
I was just like, man, I couldn't do it anymore.
I loved it. I loved it through all of them, even the one I didn't like as much, which is Arkham Knight.
So him telling me that you counter more, definitely what I'm saying is that sounds like poison to my ears. Like I want less counter, more actually planning moves, comboing. You know, that kind of combat would have appealed to me more, and I probably would already own the game.
Well, you can do mad combats in Arkham, the Arkham Binge. There's mad combos you can do.
Yeah,
in the game.
I got pretty decent.
You have to counter every once in a while because there's more than one person fighting you. I think that makes a fight more visceral than you fighting one person at a time.
Yeah, I get why they did it.
Enemy types and whatnot.
It's a very easy way to explain it, basically. With Arkham, I think even though when there's multiple enemies, you're fighting like one enemy at a time, and then you counter to switch to an enemy. I feel Spider-Man is almost the perfect evolution of what beat-em-ups used to be, because that's how often you counter and how many enemies you fight. You actually are fighting everybody at the same time, and you're not just using the counter to switch opponents. That makes it so good.
You're making it worse because you threw in beat 'em ups and Juice don't like those.
I do like that he says the counter isn't just an automatic switch to another enemy, because that, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's important because, like, trying to get the balance between a good counter system in a that type of game is quite difficult. You know, we salute games like Bayonetta, which reward you with skill-based timing with the counters, but you get like a little subtle sound when the enemy's about to counter. Whereas, like in the Batman games, it was still a fun battle system, but the counter made the fighting easy and almost automatic sometimes, because
you could fly across the screen, one tap of the button.
So you didn't need to touch the control stick. Sometimes you just mash the buttons, counter, mash the buttons, counter, because the game would take over for you. Whereas it sounds
you're a superhero. You're playing a superhero.
It's fine. It's not like I'm not dissing it, because I loved.
I'm saying I'm just replying to what you said about flying across the screen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where it's not like one enemy at a time. Like, let's say you fighting like 5 enemies in Spider-Man, you know, and you web one, you throw him up, you jump in the air to kick his ass, and then you notice the counter thing pops up because somebody in the back is like shooting at you. So you have to like make sure you counter dodge. Let's say you throw a weapon at him so he can move. Then somebody from the side tries to hit you, and you go underneath him. You jump back up to fight the dude in the air. Like everything is like connected. Whereas Arkham, you really counter, like I said, yeah, just to go from one enemy to the other without like being fucked in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's timing based. Like if you don't pull it off, then you lose your whole combo. You get hit.
And there are other
obviously.
ways, and you could mix it up by having the exploding gel and the batarangs and the grappling hook. You
that's
can
what, that's what I meant by combos and stuff. You can
do like
also,
6 different things.
You gotta remember that the timing system as well. The timing window for the counter within Arkham Asylum is quite great. So you got quite a lot of time to press that counter button anytime because
okay, that's fine.
It's different from Bayonetta.
It depends on what level you're playing on.
Yeah, it definitely got harder too when you had to use your little cape stun thing.
Certain enemies, the stunners and all that stuff. So
it would take you too long to get the combo, and you would get hit while trying to knock out another enemy. So
I'm not trying to make anybody like it. I'm just
saying you had to get. I don't want it to be played down like it's too simplistic. It's not. There was more.
When I said Batman's flying across screen, you're fighting a guy. You get the little indication, the counter, and you don't even know who it's coming from because it's kind of chaotic. And then he just like flies across the screen to fight that enemy. You didn't have to do anything with control stick or do any like figure out who's attacking you. It just auto kind of targeted him. So that's what I meant when he said.
Usually it's not that ridiculous because usually there isn't an enemy hitting you from the other side of the screen that can actually hit you. Unless you're saying the counter is too wide of a range,
and you might be countering that guy, but somebody else.
Which ironically enough, it's kind of like Breath of the Wild in the sense that like the flurry rush, the window for the attack animation is huge. Like the dude could just be starting the attack, and it'll count as an attack animation, so he isn't even close to hitting you yet, and you've already activated the flurry rush.
Flurry rush was one of my least used.
There's hard to pull off.
I felt like it was a lot harder to pull off than
what?
I'm not saying it's hard.
Not hard, but I would say
I'm saying timing wise, don't even compare it to Batman. It's completely different.
I wouldn't say that. I mean,
I wouldn't say completely different.
It is different, but it's not like
Batman fans. Get out of here, man.
What?
Go watch Batman and Robin again.
Spider-Man over Batman. So
and the thing, because like I see like Donick said that about the web slinging, if it's good or not, Spider-Man 2, like that's the one thing I still want to say. Like it fucking feels like a goddamn Spider-Man. Like I like it because in the old games, like you could do web slinging, like when you're above the buildings and shit. Like he actually attaches it to the buildings around you, so you can just like once you're above the buildings, you can web sling and like you can like hold the button until you're in the air. You can let go when you want, and like you can steer around the corners. And like in the past, in older games, if you would web sling, you hit a building, you're like, oh god damn it! Like if I was there, I would run. But like if you're web slinging towards a building, like he like runs like on the buildings, he jumps off the buildings to continue web slinging. It is so dynamic. Like I'm swinging and I'm sitting here playing. I'm like, whoa, because this is that good. Like
to be fair, Spider-Man always had great movement to begin with. So if as long as someone nailed that in the game was going to be fun at least by default. Because Jesus Christ.
One question: can Spider-Man swim underwater?
You know what's stupid? Like before, I wanted to buy it. I wanted to ask Robert, like, is the overworld empty? Like, can you find shit, or is it like, you know, I care about that more than underwater swimming? You know, you gotta find shit in the world.
Spiders can't swim.
Lol.
He can't even swim. He can float, and even then, it's like barely floating.
He's like it.
So Retro,
with me.
We all float down.
Retro, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Retro, can I ask you a question, please? It's like really important whether I buy Spider-Man on PS4 or not. Now Spider-Man 2 on a Nintendo GameCube and a PS2, whatever, right? On there, it had some crazy ragdoll physics, right? And what I used to do, the trains of the game, I used to stand in front of the train, and then the train would hit me, and I'd ragdoll about halfway across the city. Can you do that in the new Spider-Man game? And if you can't, then it's gash.
Fail.
I haven't seen trains yet. I think the subways, but they use them as fast travel points.
Yeah, see,
Fail.
taking steps backward, man. Taking steps.
We're trying to make
backward.
it slightly real.
It's like the
That's a pass.
Crackdown 3 versus Crackdown 1,
We don't talk about
Oh.
Yo, relax. Relax.
where you could like had all these like physics and stuff, and they're just gone.
And I thought I was the guy who was going to try.
Grand Theft Auto 4 versus Grand Theft Auto 5.
Well, it was a new engine, guys. Shut the fuck up.
It's the same stuff.
You're talking about the best-selling game of all time, GTA 5. That
Yeah.
wins
It's
automatic.
clearly better.
Well, another thing we could talk about real quick is they're trying the whole online thing with Red Dead, and apparently like the Twitch numbers of the open beta were just
5 people.
non-existent.
That's not surprising.
So is it a case of you can't just apply the same model to every fucking game franchise, or is it because, or is GTA Online so popular just because it's the GTA fanboys just they can't get enough of that fucking game, and it doesn't, they're not going to move over to Red Dead because it was a pretty popular game, but it was nowhere near GTA.
Fair, half of the reason why people like Red Dead is because of the realism and the cowboy simulation. And when you put it online, well, if anyone who's talked about Red Dead, one of the things they've said about Red Dead 2 specifically is, oh yeah, the controls are pretty bad. So
they're bad in GTA 5.
They're bad in GTA 5.
Yeah, but GTA 5 has always been recognized as that I want to go and just do whatever the fuck I want. Like it's more of like a closely, not real life simulator, but kind of close in that vein.
Yeah, it's a modern setting. So
yeah,
you can have all these cool vehicles. I'm not care about I got a brown horse versus a black horse. It doesn't work the same.
Yeah, I want a fucking Bugatti. God damn it!
I want to jump out of airplanes and rob banks. You can rob banks, but it's still again not the same. Rob stagecoaches. It's not the same kind of feeling.
I can get a fucking house, yo, and I can have my own bachelor pad and bitches.
Right. Like, I can get a farm, a little shack. It's not the same. It's just not as cool.
Yeah, I wonder if they expanded the amount of players, because I know on the 360, the GTA 5 online was like 16 people per the world in one one server, and it's like it felt you never seen anybody because
saw anybody. It's too damn small.
Yeah, they needed to be like triple, quadruple that at least at the minimum. But yeah, so I just thought that was interesting.
Do you want some breaking news?
Yeah, Switch getting a stability update.
No, it's Tuesday. We're not gonna do
that.
That's right. Yesterday. No, Nintendo won MPD this month with
February. You mean?
Yeah, February. Yeah, February. I'm sorry. Here we go. Nintendo generated its highest February month hardware dollar sales since 2011. 2011 was the last time it sold this well in a February.
Damn, and 2011 was a dead year.
I was gonna say that was.
That doesn't make sense. Why the fuck? Also, it's still kind of surprising because what the hell came out in February for Switch?
It's February 2011. What was?
What the fuck came out? The 3DS?
No, that
was March
20.
Yeah. There's no way I guess the Wii that might have been the last great month.
The Nintendo Switch best-selling hardware.
Well, Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword was, but that was in March, right? March.
Yeah, I wonder why. Now, granted, this is February, so maybe February is just bad months for Nintendo.
But then there
that's
were some big games on the other platforms.
So that's a bogus.
But but the fact that it still beat Xbox and PlayStation.
Oh, Xbox isn't in the damn
conversation
these days. How can it not be?
Christ, I thought I was mean to them last time.
Christ, they put their numbers out, so it's just like guesstimating. Anyways,
well, what the fuck? I'm driving.
I heard numbers like last week. Like it was like 200 and something.
There were rumors that it already had beat it, but we didn't know.
Yeah, it was like Switch was like 220, PS4 was like 180, and then Xbox was like.
But didn't what came out last month for? No, wait, Resident Evil.
Was Resident Evil's end of February or end of January. Kingdom Hearts was January, but in February there was. Probably that Far Cry game, and there was.
Switch continues to sell because of its evergreen titles. It doesn't need like a big game, in a certain month because those evergreen titles are selling, and that's still and those games are new to people who are just buying Switches. So
when was the direct in February? Mid-February?
No, it was end of February. It was like February 27th.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Because that was a good direct, so maybe
it was late February. Yeah.
Maybe that had an impact.
Yeah, but that wasn't nothing. Well, like you could buy anything.
Yeah, I know.
That's for like fans who are already locked in. I don't think that doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm surprised.
Some exciting game announcements, though, could have convinced some people, but
that's true.
Yeah, I guess people on the margins, you can probably pull them.
Yeah, and Anthem came out in February, didn't it?
That definitely helped Switch sales.
Yeah, bricking people's PS5s, so they had to go buy our PS4s.
Black and White came out in February in 2011.
So it was the DS that did well, not the Wii.
But I guess they count it because
they counted that for sure.
Because it's still Nintendo sales, I guess.
And people were mad about Black and White because it was still a DS game.
Yeah, it should have been. Yeah,
I remember that game. I don't give a fuck what anyone tells.
Yeah, it was a great game, but people were upset because it's like, oh, we got the 3DS. Why are you putting big games on the DS?
When did the 3DS come out? Was it that year?
Same year, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Because I didn't buy it until 2012 when the XL came out.
Yeah, because
when Kid Icarus
was going to be for the DS, and people were pissed.
I bought it in early summer 2011. I want to say because of
there's 150 million DSs out there. Why the fuck would we put this on a system that has no install base yet?
Exactly,
that's true.
And development,
and it wasn't taking any of the advantage because it wasn't a 3D or nothing. It was still.
It would have looked no better if they put it on the 3DS.
There was no real advantage. I said, we're good, we're fine.
So, T put out a video that got some conversation going, and it got me thinking because we were talking about Red Dead a little bit ago, and you were talking about how people who just don't even count Nintendo versus someone like you who plays everything, you don't really feel they have much to add to the conversation of gaming for you, and that's true about anything. Like if someone just played Nintendo systems and never played another game on another platform, it'd be kind of the same situation.
Right.
But I brought up a comment about those type of guys that are like, I don't play Nintendo games. I don't like Nintendo games. The general statement, like you said, there's so many different genres. They're in that umbrella that Nintendo makes. And I said, so same types of dudes who consider like the Rockstars and Naughty Dogs. Like when they always talk about the best game developers, and Nintendo's developers never even get mentioned, at all because they don't know, because they don't play the games. But I got some backlash for that comment.
I see tweets like that all the time.
It's like time. Everybody. I mean, even Xbox guys, they'll praise Naughty Dog for their games and all that, and it's just like no one ever gives Nintendo like their main teams who make some of the highest rated games of all time. They never get in that conversation unless it's a Nintendo fan saying that. Like I can give other studios credit. I think Nintendo's better, obviously, but so maybe I'm the opposite. So what do you guys think's the reason Nintendo's development teams just don't hardly ever get mentioned to those types of guys? Is it just the art style, you think? The types of games there?
I don't think it's the art style.
I think that's 80% of it.
I think half it's the IPs at this point. People don't want to give the Marios and the Zeldas and the conversations because what it usually devolves into, well, those are the two greatest IPs, and I think people. Why do you think Xbox gamers had this huge thing about the Wii U in 2011? No, not 2011. 2012, talking about, they're doing another Mario game. When are they gonna start doing new IPs and whatnot? And you're like, yeah, you guys are like the last ones to talk, aren't you? You pieces of shit. But I think
why don't they talk about the Metroid Primes back then?
Because they didn't play them, Juice. That's why. You can't talk about a game you never played.
There's too much gameplay in those games too.
Yeah, people it's like Nintendo has mature IPs, but like no one looks at Nintendo long enough to see those mature IPs. Like Metroid, as much as well loved as it is not one of those IPs that like a casual gamer would just see.
Yeah, but even with Metroid, the way people act is that that wasn't Nintendo. That was Retro Studios.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's
all
not
it
They
is.
do like this weird
Which
disconnect
is
with
not
certain
the
games.
case.
But if you like, I mean, give Naughty Dog credit, then why can't you just give credit to a Retro Studios? Doesn't matter that they're tied
Yeah,
to
but
Nintendo.
it's
Like,
like you use
They
that
don't-
as well.
they don't know
You
the
use
name
that
of
as
the
well,
studio.
and they'll say at the same time then Naughty Dog is Sony. It's what they always say. They're happy to pair them, to match them. But I don't know,
Are
with Nintendo.
you saying they're hypocrites? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
it's
But
just
Revelation-
I mean, you got games just this generation like ARMS, which I know some people love and others just maybe didn't love it as much. So they got Smash fighting, and then I seen the same in the same conversation, or no, it was a different. I think it was a different reply thread. Oh, I just don't like brawlers, so there's nothing anyone can ever say to make me like Smash. Like, you don't like brawler. How can you say you just blanket don't like brawler? Smash pretty
That's
much
insane.
created a brawler. There's not a lot of other ones. So you're just gonna say you generally don't like brawlers, so you can say you don't like Smash when Smash created the genre basically, or popularized it. Like, it just seems so
I don't like kart racing.
exactly. But
What?
a game basically, there's like 3 games in the genre, or 3. I mean, and there's only one major one in the brawler genre, and it's that I think that phrase came from Smash, didn't it? I don't think it existed before Smash. I could be wrong.
I don't think so. Maybe.
I think Smash was the original one.
I
And
think
it's just-
Smash is probably the original.
I mean, it's just crazy to me. Like I've said, I don't like beat 'em ups, but that's not because I didn't play them. I played, probably 30 beat 'em ups in my life, if maybe not that many, 20 to 30, and they're fun for a little bit, and they don't hold me for long. So, I mean, I guess I've said a broad thing like that, but I've tried a ton of them. Whereas something like, I don't know.
another big part of it as well is that a lot of people literally, they just hate Nintendo characters. Absolutely hate them. I got so many friends who hate Nintendo characters. It doesn't matter if they are the kings of platformers, like the kings of adventure games or whatever. They hate their characters and they will not play them. So it's like one of my friends. He played and he loved Unraveled, right?
Mm-hmm.
The little Yanni character, going for the forest or whatever. But you won't ever for the life of him see him touch a Pikmin game or the Yoshi game or anything.
It makes no sense.
If Nintendo had made Yarny, he would hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, because Crafted World, I was gonna say Crafted World is so similar to what Unraveled is as far as the aesthetic. I'd say Crafted World has less emphasis on like being in a real world setting, even though it does have. I've seen some levels that have like realistic looking trees and stuff, and it's just like crafted items mixed in.
Yeah,
but it's that you nailed it. Like that type of mentality. They'll play Unraveled. They'll support EA and play a game like Unraveled and enjoy it.
To be fair, Unraveled kind of deserves the support, but that's all in the story.
It does, because of the not their fault. EA offered to fund their game, and you can't blame them. But that's okay. They'll play through that game. They'll play through Ori and the Blind Forest and praise it. But if it's anything Nintendo made, then it's like.
Mm-hmm.
It's
that's what I'm
crazy.
saying. I think people don't like Nintendo's IPs, partially for the reason why I think Sony switches up their IPs every generation, except for like a few of them. I think
switches up.
Well, I see what you did there. You piece of shit. Sony cycles through their IPs, and you might see 1 or 2 carry over, but most of them are new. I think some people are very into the idea of like, look, I've seen this character since I was 10. I've grown past this character. I don't want to see this character anymore. Even if the games are good, it ain't matter. The games are good,
except for when Crash Insane
It's a mental block.
Yeah, except when Crash Team Racing
Crash comes out, and
that's different because those games haven't had updates, or even when they
games,
they haven't been consistent. Like even when they were still making Crash games, they were kind of trash. The later ones.
There wasn't a period of time where you could think of Nintendo and not think of Mario. Whereas there is a good period of time now where you could think of Sony and not think of Crash Bandicoot.
I think
I reject that. Sorry, can I just add this? Sorry, I reject that because a lot of people, like a lot of these people who are getting hyped about like the new Crash Bandicoot games being remastered or Crash Kart Racing coming out, right? These games didn't stop on the PlayStation 1. It's not where they stopped. You know, we had Crash Bandicoot racing games,
GameCube.
platformers, they were all on the GameCube. So if in terms of limelight, right, they possibly not been there for one generation, and that's the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 generation, right? Just one generation. That could just be a few years.
7 million copies.
Yeah, and it's just people seem to like to grip, like these Sony players and stuff. They like to grip onto nostalgia, but don't follow their favorite genres through as much as Nintendo players do. So why didn't
they're not consistent?
Yeah, they're not consistent with what they buy. You know?
So you're saying they're hypocrites?
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be the running joke of the cast tonight. What are you trying to say?
I don't think there's any actual logic behind it, because like I have a story with this. Like in my household, we grew up with Nintendo. Like me and my brothers, we always played like Zeldas and shit, the Super Nintendo. Like my older brother, he was fucking a massive Final Fantasy VI fan, like amazing and shit. And we love all the RPGs and shit, Secret of Mana, all that shit. And a little while, and now he like he's on PlayStation and he loves Nier Automata and that kind of shit. And we were walking around in the store a couple of months ago, and I'm like, dude, you should seriously get a Switch. And he's like, why? I'm like, well, first of all, you like Nier, like you should. Bayonetta 2 is like one of the best like Bayonetta like that there is and shit. You know, you love Final Fantasy VI, one of your favorite games ever. You just have Octopath Traveler. Like it is that amazing. I showed him a trailer of Octopath. He's like, "Wow, that's actually really good." It's like they like took Final Fantasy VI, added all this lighting effects and shit. I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "And like Zelda, like, you love these open world games, that kind of shit. Like, why would you not get a Switch?" And he seriously said to me, "Well, it's Nintendo," and I'm like, "What the fuck does that even mean?" He's like, "What is that for answer? You know you will love all these games. They're amazing. You used to play these. You know you will love them. Octopath Traveler is like your dream game, basically. Why would you not get a Switch?" He's like, I don't know, man. It's Nintendo. And that was literally his answer. He didn't even argument this. I feel there's this stigma somehow, somewhere after the Super Nintendo, when the PlayStation 1 came out till now, when now people just hear Nintendo, they don't even associate anything with it. No games, they don't think of anything. They're just like, I don't know, man. It's just Nintendo. And so I don't think there's any actual logic behind it.
They fell for the marketing, man.
Marketing, man. Yeah, well, there you go, T. You said it. That's Sony marketing. That's what it was all about.
Somebody, Mohammed's like, they're not cinematic enough. Have you ever played Xenoblade Chronicles 2? I mean, it's cinematic.
They don't look at when they say cinematic. I don't think he's meaning the same thing.
They mean
I know what you
photorealistic visuals.
I know what you mean, Juice, but I know he doesn't mean that, and that's the problem. Because I was gonna say, Nintendo unfortunately has the stigma of being kiddie, like Xbox has the stigma of having a bunch of dude bros on their system.
That's not a stigma, though.
I mean, no, but see, people make the same argument about Nintendo.
No, it's a stigma.
People make the same argument about Nintendo. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. Like, Nintendo,
I think today it's a stigma
because there is some truth to that statement that a lot of kids play on Nintendo consoles.
You know, my brother-in-law said
it's nowhere near as exaggerated as people like to pretend like it is, but it is. It's there, and people take that and run with it.
My brother-in-law's my brother-in-law's an Xbox guy through and through. He's got a 8-year-old. My dad wanted to have something at his house for the grandkids, so he's like asking me what system. I said, well, they all have Xboxes. I said, why don't you get them a PlayStation or a Switch so they actually have a new games library to new game experiences. And my brother-in-law, like, my kid's not going to play no kitty-ass Nintendo system. And he was serious.
Oh yeah,
like, my kid's not playing the Nintendo system.
Yeah, people hold that shit on a whole different level.
I'm like, he's 8.
He's the exact age to be playing Nintendo by your
got him playing Call of Duty and stuff. Like, worst parent ever. I don't care for my brother.
People are completely out of touch as well. I think I mentioned it before, but my one friend said, you know, when Mortal Kombat 11 was announced for the Switch, he's like, he's surprised, you know, Nintendo console hasn't been, Mortal Kombat hasn't been on the Nintendo console since the SNES. And did you think, what the fuck are you talking about? It is on every single Nintendo home console apart from the Wii U. It's literally it. You had a Mortal Kombat on
it only
every
missed one console.
fucking console, and it just shows you how out of touch people are when it comes to what content comes on Nintendo platforms because of marketing, because they venture off and get dragged away by something that they feel is cooler and better, when in reality it's just people are just bonkers.
Why do you think people were so concerned when Bayonetta 2 came to Wii U? People
I was
were concerned.
just gonna fucking
People
say
were
that.
so concerned that they're gonna
baby it up.
Yeah, they're gonna baby it up. And I'm like, guys,
What are you talking about?
remember No More Heroes? You don't remember Mad World? You remember any of these games that were pretty
Just
hardcore,
ignorant.
that were exclusive to the Wii and shit?
I mean,
And when they didn't baby it up, did only the so-called fans go out and buy a Wii U to play the game? No.
and that's what I was gonna say. People who like had Bayonetta as the greatest games ever, like they live for that shit as the best shit ever. But I would kill myself before I buy that system to play the new games. What the fuck is that?
Oh, people.
Now they're okay with the Switch though, so they'll buy it on there.
Yeah, because now it's selling.
Well,
now more people like it, so it's okay to be like.
You want to know something sad
What a
though?
loser mentality. More people like it. So
Crash Insane Trilogy.
What are you saying? They're hypocrites? Is that what you said?
Crash Insane Trilogy on Switch sold more copies than Bayonetta 2 on Switch and Wii U combined. That's just it's like
my god!
It's like 1.2 million Crash
fans.
And
Isn't
and it was you're talking about franchises that it's a quote unquote kiddie game, and they moved on, they grew up, and then Crash sells 6 million copies on the PS4.
All things considered, Crash is a harder game. At least the first.
So you're saying they're hypocrites?
It's not a harder game. It's a game designed so badly that it makes it hard. Like,
I was gonna say that.
Listen, I'm aware
of it. I'll tell you.
If they don't think
the first game like that, fuck the other two might be fine, but fuck that first game. First game gave me a bag of dicks and with all my heart, yeah.
I think Naughty Dog will tell you that shit.
I love when people say like they just assume like a Mario 2D game's not hard, and it's like, oh, so you played the first level, maybe? Try playing those star levels on
who said that are bad at Mario games? That's what kills me.
Right.
Like people like, oh, Mario games are easy as fuck, and I'm like, none of you people have played. Most people can't even get past like early levels in Sunshine. I remember that shit. I remember
3D World, I would say, takes the easy, stretches it out the longest.
I don't see people die in 3D World.
But once you get past like World 4, some of those levels.
Actually, Juice knows there's a particular Nintendo YouTuber who, I guess,
man, I know you don't do it.
who didn't know all the moves in 3D World, and Juice is trying to help.
Did she buy 3D World? Did she use a coupon to buy 3D World? I can't.
Man,
remember.
come on, man. Why you gotta be like that? Why you gotta be like that, man? Kumbaya.
Let me ask a question and shut me down if we want to move on, because I don't want it to turn into
Yeah, we got to move on. But ask it.
Yeah, so I saw this on Twitter, okay, and it actually made me think. Someone said the Donkey Kong platformers are collectively overall better than the core 2D Mario platformers, right? And we can include Yoshi's Super Mario World 2 in this other sense as well if you want. But I was thinking, do you know what? Not far off, It's not far off, You got, when you actually think about it, it's not far off in terms of quality wise. And you could argue that Tropical Freeze, I always said before that Tropical Freeze is a shield, but like I said, I don't want to get into it. Sorry, it's my fault.
I think my response with that, and I'm not the best authority of it. The way I always looked at it is DK probably would age better because of who DK platformers are geared towards. People like to pretend like that Mario and DK platformers are geared towards the same fan bases. They're not. I mean, you can play them, but I think DK probably scales better because it's more difficult.
They play
like it's hard for me to agree with that. I know where that person's coming from, but for me, they're even though they're obviously the same genre, they're 2D platformers. They're very different in many ways. Where like I think
it's hard to compare those two directly.
Yeah, because Donkey Kong is like he feels different. Like there's a different feel to both of them, and it depends on, do you prefer the feel of Mario? He's more speedy and whatnot, or the weight that you have with Donkey Kong, and as far as the variety of like power ups and all that stuff. It's really not that, in Donkey Kong at all. So I don't know.
Yeah, Donkey Kong's more about precision jumps than
kind of like it's a platformer.
Oh
God! You know what I mean, though?
With the Mario 2D games and platformers and that, we can do that.
I'm not saying. I say Donkey Kong's. Donkey Kong feels more.
I'm starting the fire, yo.
Like
burning some leaves and some bananas.
It's like Donkey Kong is more focused on continuous sections of like precision with less, I guess, non-precision sections in between. I guess Mario it's a little more free. It's not just constantly challenging sections on each level. There will be levels that are like that, but I feel like
not like ukulele where if you can power up as a helicopter and you can fly everywhere. Is that precision platforming?
And like the minecart sections are definitely a change of pace that Mario doesn't have. Something like that. I will say though, I started Super Mario Brothers 2. Was that 2 podcasts ago? I kind of started playing, or maybe last week.
We don't know.
Yeah, I think
and I was surprised.
I was there when you said it.
Yeah. I was surprised at how well the controls still were. Like Mario the character still controls so well. It's crazy.
The
Mario 2, the black sheep,
slick as shit. They all hold up today. I don't care what anyone says. They all play perfectly today.
I would say if you grew up with being able to slide down wall jump and stuff, going back, you'd probably think, these games don't feel good. But because you're used to a specific move that's not there, like the ground pound. But when you just look at the movement of Mario, even on the Super Mario Bros., the original, it still is super tight and it's nearly flawless, I guess, and it's aged so well. I was surprised.
It seems so simple, but it's not, because nobody else seems to be able to pull it off. The way because there's tons of platformers out there, but you jump and you couldn't move while you were in the air. You couldn't change your direction, and just like this, what is this? This isn't what I'm used to being able to do. So it's not as easy. See, Nintendo, that's why they're so good, because they're so good at making something seem easy when it's really not.
That's and that's like they say the same similar thing about special effects. The best special effects are the ones you don't notice.
You don't even notice.
You don't even think about it. Yeah. That means they did their job absolutely.
Like that movie Zodiac. Like, there's so much special effects in that movie. You'd be like, why are there special effects in this movie? But they're so seamless that you don't even notice them.
You couldn't even point them out, probably.
You can't point them out. Nope.
So that's the same with great controls. Like, you don't even think about it unless you're used to bad controls, I guess. If you went from Little Big Planet to like Mario, you might be like, dang, like I can actually control my character.
Yeah, so if you went from Unravel to Yoshi, you'd be like, what the fuck have I been playing?
From Mario Kart to Little Big Planet karting, you're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Trash.
Jesus Christ, guys.
And I don't know if they've got any time to optimize seeing Unraveled 2 in the Direct. That has to be the biggest downgrade to a game going to Switch that I've seen so far. It looks Unraveled 2, the Switch footage they showed looks I would think the GameCube, like the Wii, could do it. Like that's how far down.
I want to throw this out here for the rest of the podcast. Remember, this is the guy who's not a graphics whore. Just remember that.
Well, I mean,
I want you to keep it in your minds, folks.
I'll have to roll with him on this one a little, because it's like what you expect. The game is nice looking, but you don't expect it's something Switch can't handle. And if it didn't translate from what it was to the Switch as well as we think it should, then that's something you should point out.
It should have been,
especially when you look at Crafted World or other games.
Right, when you look at other games on.
Here's a funny YouTube video though from 9 months ago. Why Unraveled 2 isn't coming to Switch?
Whoops!
It must have been when the developer said it wasn't up to them. That must be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all they said.
You can't really blame them
Probably
because
wasn't.
we are talking about EA here. So
Yeah, but I say it's EA. Come on now.
That game is
yeah.
Hey, man, fuck that game.
it's too intense.
But
That water, yo, splash, yo.
It does look like a little more of a floaty type of experience. That's a little less appealing to me.
Almost like they're made out of yarn or something. It's weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's almost like the like trying to. I know Red Knight, he loves to say how he hates the floaty mechanics and the controls.
Mhm.
That's not why Trying 2 is a great game. It's because of the if you're the wizard, especially on the Wii U, you create the blocks and it's kind of a puzzle platformer. It could use some more precise controls for sure.
It's a puzzle platformer more than just a platformer. That's why I like it.
And so I can understand somebody like if they went from that game or really like that game to go into Mario something or Donkey Kong would feel like probably unplayable to them at first because it'd be such a change.
Be like you're controlling the tank or something.
Yeah. So anyway, we better get into this Google
Guru?
what the fuck is it? Stadia?
Stadia, man.
Are you drunk? What's going on,
Stadia.
buddy?
So before we get
Stadia.
into all this stuff, what do you guys think of Google's Wii U Pro controller?
Is that what you're calling it? I think it's just a bad controller in general.
Well,
Fuck the Wii U Pro.
No, it looks just like the Wii U Pro controller.
I don't get
identical.
that.
Right. There was some guy, I don't know, on our
I get the
podcast
poking
last week
controller
making fun of all these guys, with their mock-up controllers.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this guy who was saying how that was stupid because they're not going to come out with some flat garbage ass controller at this point. Like, this is Google. They're not going to screw it up. This isn't Ouya or some shit. I said all their mock-ups were based on mock-ups, and I'm sure the controller will be way more comfortable than what they were showing all these boob tubers, as I call them. Their mock-ups were way off to what the actual controller looks like, and it looks comfortable as hell. So
I take that back. The analog sticks
it looked more like
are reversed. They're on the bottom on the Wii U Pro controller. They're both on top, so they're both.
I wouldn't have made that comparison. It looks more like a poking controller to me. That's what it reminded me of.
It looks a little not. It doesn't
Just
look
seeing the
as
sticks
thick.
seeing the sticks in the same plane.
On one thing too much.
That it's white and it just kind of has that width of the Wii U Pro controller to me.
Well, it looks to me like they took everything. People always like, oh, do this with the controller, do that. It looks like they took every best aspect from each three controllers and just put it in one. You have like the analog triggers, you have like the share button that the Switch Pro controller has. You have like the analog sticks and everything. Like the good D-pad. It looks like T said, it looks extremely comfortable. It's wait and see once you have it in your hands. But from what I don't think because I was expecting, I saw this controller, I was like, man, that's pretty unoriginal. But it's like T said, like you shouldn't have to be original. You have to make something good, and it looks. From what we see, that like I said, they took every aspect that made each of the three controllers good, and they made one controller out of it without fucking everything up by doing dumb
Probably
shit.
doesn't have gyro though.
It makes sense. It's a universal controller. Most people are used to that kind of a setup, and they're not going to stray too far. They're not going to give you some crazy controller.
I didn't look at the buttons A, B, X, Y. I didn't look.
Yeah, I hated that.
I thought it was
the
funny
Xbox number. The Xbox did. I think
certain YouTuber that I like, RGT85, makes a video, and he makes fun of the controller, basically saying the buttons were too small, and I was like, but wait a minute, you have a Switch and you don't have a Pro controller, and you always tout how you like using the Joy-Con and grip. I'm like, too small, those little ass Joy-Con buttons. And the D-pad, because he complained about the D-pad as well. I'm like, wait a minute, the Switch doesn't even have a D-pad in your case, because you don't even have a Pro controller.
Exactly.
So what are you talking about?
Without using it, I don't know about the roundedness of the D-pad, but it might actually be more comfortable.
It might.
But they definitely went with the Xbox AB XY location, so that makes sense. It's everyone considers Nintendo the outsider now, even though
they started it all.
and PlayStation doesn't even have the same letters, so I don't. Why don't they have A, B, X, Y? I don't understand.
They got shapes.
So, and it's gonna be familiar to people, and as long as it's a good controller, I'll be curious what the price is gonna be. So that was just the first thing, because everyone had someone made a quote unquote 3D looking. They just added reflections and shading of the exact the patent. Yeah, and it just looks like this flat, just something the human hand would have a lot of trouble holding. Like, so it's just funny that people thought that was actually.
That's so stupid, and we called it out from the beginning. I was like, that's just stupid. There's no way. These guys are not going to spend all the money they're spending in research and development and come out with this flat ass controller at this point. I mean, not going to happen, and it didn't happen, obviously.
So yes, I was kind of hoping they were going to do. We'll get into what the whole thing is. My thoughts beforehand. I was like, all right, if they're going to do streaming, that's cool, because I'm not into that, but depending on if Google does it right, it could be something cool. I don't know. We still don't know if it's a rental service, or you actually buy games, or if you pay a monthly fee and you play a bunch of games. They didn't detail that as far as what I seen. So we don't know. But I was kind of hoping they would also have a dedicated box, so it was all in one thing to cover guys that like physical media, like having hardware, plugged into their TV, and they don't need all the gimmicky stuff. Like, I thought maybe they're going to go cover all bases. But once I see why they didn't now, because their whole selling point is not needing to buy hardware and stuff. But for me, that would have been a better announcement, I guess, because I knew the streaming was inevitable. I figured that's definitely something they're gonna do. But also, there was rumors of it being, an actual box that was very capable, and I figured Google, they're gonna make it affordable because they can take a loss. But that obviously wasn't the way they went. So basically, it's a streaming service to take the PlayStation Now and probably times it by 1 million to what they're actually putting into it. It all sounds promising, but just like the Crackdown 3 initial cloud-based demo, the proof will be in the pudding when it's actually out and millions of people are accessing it at the same time. But so did
you notice, before we move on from that, did you notice that they had this game with cloud-based physics for building destruction? And I was like, uh-oh.
I knew you were going
to Crackdown 3.
Yeah.
That, by the way, they put together in a couple of months.
Yeah, that's so sad. So sad.
So we'll get into the nitty-gritty. I'll go into some of the tech details that Digital Foundry went through, but just initial thoughts from everybody, just to lay a foundation, to find out where everybody stands. So I guess my initial thoughts were, it's a better the concept, if the execution's there, it's a better streaming. Looks like it actually has potential. I don't know if it's going to be there yet, but it slightly changed my mind on where streaming needed to be, or how long streaming was off is in the future. I guess I could see it being by the end of this year or early next year could be a little bit more viable for more people than I ever thought. So that was kind of my first takeaway. And they didn't really have a lot of info, so it's hard to really say. But if I can just boot up my Chrome and play a game and try it, maybe then I could either be sold on it or not. But there's so many unknowns at this point that it's really hard to say anything else. So, Terrell, what was your takeaway when you watched it?
I started relatively interested because it was kind of slow at work, so I could kind of watch it. I honestly, at this point, could give a fuck less. That was kind of the mentality. Here's my thing, because the
couldn't
box
give a fuck less.
Well, yeah, I could. Thank you, Professor. Professor, I appreciate you.
Professor T. That's what I'm here for.
I know, fucking asshole.
What did he say? He could care less. Could?
Yeah, he said he
couldn't.
Fine.
Go ahead.
All I'm saying is, it's not that to me, once you get into a streaming box, it kind of loses all value for me because that's not the kind of gaming I subscribe to personally. It's not what I'm interested in. Is it a cool idea in theory? Yeah. How is that going to work in practice? I'm very skeptical because of varying different factors. Of certain areas have better internet connections than others, and some people have data caps on their phones if they were even going to bother doing that kind of stuff. And how much it's going to cost? Oh, it's coming out this year. Cool, but we don't know price. You think that would have come up? Just no. Yeah, I'm a little concerned. And also, it's another. To me, it's like a more restrictive Steam because at least in Steam, I can customize my game all the way through. Here, I'm not really owning the game. I'm just pretty much paying for the right to play it on their server. So I don't know. It kind of just petered out for me. I was like, oh, this kind of I don't care. Good night.
Well, we still don't even know if you actually buy, like, quote unquote, buy an individual game, or you just.
Oh, no, they showed you can buy it.
Where'd they show that at the end?
Yeah, like they started showing how you could buy it on Google Play.
Yeah, you can buy it Google Play.
So you're buying individual games. You're not, because they're like, hey, if you see it on YouTube,
now I mean,
hit the play button and you play it. I'm like, well, wouldn't you have to own it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Well, that's the thing. We don't know if it's a streaming service or not, but we know that like you have to buy. You know that you have the option to buy the singular game, but for me, I don't see the point if there's no real advantage to doing that.
Yeah, and the game's still sitting on their servers. Now, you're talking about cutting the price down on some of this stuff. That would make it better. Like,
well, I would.
If the game is 60,
that's why
they could bring down to 40 or something.
That's why I'm suspicious. Why would you at least mention like a base price?
Well, yeah, and is there like a Game Pass scenario they're planning too, where you just have?
I would think they are, but
a ton of games for.
It would make.
I mean, I don't know. To me, that doesn't make it any more appealing. On just.
I think Drew's only excited because they mentioned like two of his favorite franchises as of recently. He had his Doom and his Tomb Raider.
They showed Tomb Raider. I didn't make it to Tomb Raider. I only saw Doom.
He didn't see the ads. It's all right.
But people kept saying they didn't show any games.
No, I did. All they did was announce.
I saw some games.
And they announced that they have their own game studio now.
Yeah, I'm confused. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm taking over yours.
I'm just saying, like there wasn't a lot to get excited about, and the things and the things of note weren't that exciting to me. But yeah.
And some people, like a Doom shit, said you could see the game, but just not there. You had to go to their booth or some shit to.
Yeah,
because they announced it at the end. I think
id Software has, and GameSpot has a video of it playing through the Stadia. It's off screen, but you can see it, so it's actually there playable. All right, Retro, what's your initial thoughts on it? It's
kind of the opposite as Terrell. I went in there not giving a fuck and really not caring. Seriously, this shit felt like homework. I'm like, oh man, I gotta watch an hour of this fucking Google shit just so I can like participate in the podcast and shit. And so I watch it and everything, and I still don't give a shit now because I'm like T and Clutter. I like my shit physical and everything, so I don't care myself. But I was definitely impressed with some of the shit they had in there, and I went out of it intrigued. Even though I didn't care when I went in, like specifically to the concept on how the streaming, how they explain it, how it would work. And I really liked some of the shit that is not for me. Like, I don't care, but I really liked that kind of felt like a bit futuristic to me. The idea that somebody like the YouTube shit, like somebody's playing it and they can like decide, okay, like people can instantly join my game. Because I remember some of that shit in the past when, let's say Terrell, when he's like, sometimes he's like, oh, I'm playing Smash. And I'm like, oh, I'm watching this stream. I'm going to fucking boot up my Switch and find this thing, find the code. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to watch a fucking movie or something, So I like that aspect, the button that you can join. But yeah, I didn't even think about it yet, like what you just said, where I'm like, but then, I mean, okay, let me join. Oh, wait, I don't own this game. How does it work now? So I feel they give too little info on some of the details that mattered. But I liked what I saw in the end, even though I would never like really use it and shit. Like, I'm happy with my, like, I already use Steam, and often I'm already like, am I owning these games right now? So this streaming shit is not for me. But like when he hit that button, like click and bam, it was instantly in the game. I was like, if that works like that, that's some pretty cool tech.
Yeah, the instant booting up or switching to device, if that's not some bullshit and stuff,
Yeah.
that's appealing. I mean, it's not for me. That's one of those things. It's a cool thing to say you can do, but how often am I going to go from my phone to my tablet to my laptop to my desktop to my TV? Like maybe going from my be able to play the game on my phone at work, I guess, would be like the Switch type of thing, and then my progress would be saved when I played on my TV. You know, that kind of stuff's cool. But if it was that tied to an actual game purchase, you know.
And just to say that, because you said Switch, I was kind of salty when he said like there's no system out there now where you can play anywhere, and I was looking at my Switch, I was like, you son of a bitch.
Did anybody catch the little asymmetric gameplay demo? It was about at 52 minutes. I'm looking at it now. I'm like, ooh, like Wii U.
I don't think he knows what asymmetric gameplay is. Like that was just term. Like split screen shit.
They didn't use that term. I'm using it because each person has a different perspective.
Right.
On the
he used asymmetric, I think. He used that.
Did he? Well, that's
did.
That's the definition of asymmetric.
Right.
Because one person's like a dragonfly up above, and then she's walking on the ground, and another person's like pointing out where to go or something. I mean, that's what
Nintendo been doing that since Pac-Man Versus, son.
Mm-hmm. So I just thought that was kind of funny to see. It was just a what they say proof of concept, thing. So it may never no one may ever use it, but it's like asymmetric. You know, Wii U. They're gonna find another reason to trash the Wii U when a game does that. And like, look at what Google can do. Not that trash Wii U.
It reminds me of Hip Hop Gamer, and he was talking about that and like what was it, the Vita play with the PS3? Or what was that called?
What's that called? Share play or something?
Crossplay.
No, it's when you're playing using your PS3 or PS4 to power the game, but what?
I don't like the Wii U, but I like this. This is it's the same damn thing. You just a Sony shill.
And that was your actual console has to turn on and run the game while you're on the Vita somewhere with if you have a good remote play. Yeah.
Remote play, that's it. Yeah.
That's done.
Anyway, clocked it. What was your takeaway?
Fucking hell.
And this guy is so fucking salty, I feel.
No. Okay. Let's set the record straight. I am not salty about. No, wait. I am. No, I'm not. No, how do I describe this? We've been here before, right? We've been here before. We already got two of these fuckers in the industry, right? Yeah. We got Sony in. We got Microsoft in. Now we got Google. We got three of these big fucking tech giants sitting here. Right, all pushing their own agendas. Now, I
wouldn't call Sony a tech giant anymore, but go ahead.
Oh, don't forget.
Those are just facts.
Don't forget, Nintendo wasn't a game company once, and then they got into it.
We believe in board games.
Go ahead.
God.
They made toys.
You want to play some games?
Go ahead.
When you weren't even born, when we were born, when fucking. Anyway, I think there's some cool tech going on here. I really do. I got no issues with a company releasing just a streaming device. I think people, I think some people would like that option just to have that. I mean, got so many people now who just were so comfortable with digital, right? I mean, they're happy just to have their entire library on digital, and I can't see this being any different for them. So I think some of the stuff that they were showing, some of the multiplayer stuff, which we've all seen before now, but it's using extra stuff for the evolution of it. I think could be pretty cool. Do I feel the developers of the world will do well with it? I don't think they give a shit, in all honesty. They'll get their games on a platform just like they get their games on any other platform. I think it's going to be up to Google to really, really push all of these key features that they're showing, which is obviously why they're investing in their first-party studios and stuff, because they're gonna need them. I don't think you can rely on everyone else to push your console as we know from the past. And I also thought when I was watching Raymond on stage, did anyone else think that she looked nervous as shit the way she was talking?
A little bit, but
yeah, I just thought she seemed really, really nervous to be on stage, which is quite.
She wasn't reading from a teleprompter, right? She was. I think the words were being fed through her headset or something.
Yeah.
And I think that's why she looked nervous or.
Nervous. So it's gonna be interesting to see what she brings to to Google. I think because I personally got no interest whatsoever in this device, and the only thing that I was interested in
device?
It's not even a device.
What device?
you know what I mean. So I the only thing that actually got my attention because I have a YouTube channel was possibly the ease of if it's possible to record high-end gaming at a decent frame rate and stuff. And I thought, okay, with some of this stuff, you'd be able to hopefully just capture good footage, which is obviously what they want because they're plugging it straight into YouTube. So I thought for stuff like that, it's going to be great. As long as you got the internet connection, whatever, and it doesn't stutter too much, which I'm sure they won't. I think they'll get it to a level where people are happy for the most part, and some games will suffer, of course, but for the most part, I think people would be happy. But yeah, overall, I got a lot of mixed feelings about it in terms of industry-wise, but I think as a streaming device and what they're trying to push, there's some good stuff there.
All right, T, what was your takeaway?
Well, I actually want to start right there where Clock had left off with the talking about recording your gameplay footage and as a YouTuber being able to do that, and that's where my interest ends in this entire setup.
See, that's what I was hoping for with an actual box, like a gaming, like something more like an Xbox One X, but maybe a little more powerful. Is like if they had the ease of streaming, if they went that route, I think to me that would have been the best of both worlds, and it was a streaming service on top, because I thought how cool would that be if it was just instant, easy for anyone just to stream their games. Yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and then I just thought about, if as a YouTuber, and you guys are YouTubers, and I don't know if you've messed around with the editing software on YouTube that they talk about. It's utter trash, and I'm just like, if that's what I got to look forward to, you integrating, me gaming and using the Chrome, we call it, what is it called? The Chromecast, or whatever, to play games and whatnot, integrating that with Google's trash editing software, then my interest just went away. So this is not for me. And I said that on Twitter, that this is not something for me, but I could see where it could be for a lot of people. Because I think even about my kids, like I mentioned this to you guys earlier about who was it? Clock did I mentioned it too? But my kids play freaking Roblox and whatnot on their their phones and their iPads and stuff, and they play with such precision. I would never think touch controls, but a lot of these kids are really good with touch controls on devices and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, they just want to be able to play. They don't care about that stuff. They don't care about what company, and they don't care about physical media. Especially my kids don't give a damn about physical media whatsoever. So this is the future. Whether we want it or not, I don't like it. Obviously, I don't want it, but this is what's going to happen. I don't know how successful this is going to be right away, but I think in the future they'll nail it at some point because Google. Who's bigger than Google out there? They have
xCloud, man. xCloud, Microsoft, Xbox this, Xbox that. Come on.
They have a really nice sample.
Google,
I think Microsoft, just like in the phone market, they're going to give it a go. Yeah. They might have a couple cool little innovations here and there, but if I would have almost no faith in Microsoft pulling off something like this.
Yeah.
Google.
This should have been something they were on with, like Internet Explorer or something. This is what Microsoft should have been
Edge.
doing.
It's Edge now.
Oh, Edge. Sorry, that's how much I use it. So
yeah,
this is just something they should have been on this and not letting Google beat them to this. Everything, it seems like everything Microsoft tries to do, they get beat to the punch with a better product.
How many people did you know in the last 10 years that had a Windows phone? I know one guy, and he made 3 other people.
Oh no, I knew one person.
Oh, hold on a second. Windows makes phones?
They don't anymore.
They
did. But their Surface, for some reason, is doing well. That overpriced, super expensive, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that thing goes back to the 80s. Actually, that's pretty cool that they.
But all right, so we gave our thoughts. I'm gonna try to describe what Digital Foundry described, and it was in the video. They're talking about they're partnering with AMD. They're gonna have GPU. It's gonna be custom. It's gonna be 10 teraflops. And I'm like, so are they gonna have a GPU CPU setup for every player? Because they're talking about linking some together. So like, if you had, let's say there's 2 billion gamers, I'm sure they're not expecting 1 billion people to be using this, but let's say 100 million people are playing games at the same time. Does that mean they have 100 million of these GPUs and CPUs like on the ready? Like, I don't understand what they're like. That's not going to be split up.
Obviously not the case. There's no way. And I don't care how big Google is. There's no way that they'd be able to serve 1 by 100 million different GPUs.
They must not be expecting that many people, because they've made it sound like each game session gets that 10 teraflops. And they're like, everyone's like, oh, it's cloud, but there's AMD is actually making a chipset. They said it custom. So each.
I think that may have to do more with developers because they're putting out developer kits, right? That was one of the things they said. Yeah. There's going to be 100 developer kits out there. I think that's just something they were putting together for developers to develop for.
Oh yeah, because this is GDC, so maybe that is what but there actually is got to be hardware making.
Well, they have to, there's servers and stuff. They have to be hardware that's going to be able to cater to every individual person. I think that's what you're saying, right?
So each person, they told basically developers, you're going to have a 10.7 teraflop of performance to build your game around,
regardless if you have some shitty custom or a non-custom PC to run it on.
Yeah, and I mean, there's literally just open up your Chrome browser,
right?
And you get, and then Digital Foundry said there is the biggest hit is the input lag, which isn't terrible actually on their test. Is the image quality is just like if anybody's a video file. Let's say you watch a YouTube video of someone playing God of War, it's going to look like that versus playing God of War on your 4K TV. That's the best way to say it, and that's the most accurate way to say it.
Wait, what?
Best. So the game, the video quality of the game, even at 4K, is going to be like watching a YouTube video of the game versus playing the game on the console on your TV.
So that's a hell of a range there, though.
So let's say you got a PS4 Pro and you're playing God of War on a 65-inch 4K. Watch somebody else who uploaded a 4K of gameplay of God of War through the YouTube app on that same TV, and that's basically the best you can hope for. I mean, it's going to look good, but it's not going to look as good as native.
Look as clean, right?
So, I don't think that's that big of an issue.
No, not for them. Again, not for the market of people who are going to be playing, who are going to be using this. They're not going to care about those tiny little details.
And I think they're probably thinking a lot of people are going to be using their phones and shit. For this, but they did specifically say Pixel. They pointed out the Pixel.
I have a Pixel, Ma.
But it's just streaming, so what does it matter what phone it's on? That's what.
Because they own. They're going to. It is a commercial still. They're trying to sell some Pixels.
They're going to cater to Google devices because
yeah. And
I guess I got a Pixel.
So here's a perspective. Here's a scenario. This is my scenario right now. And Terrell knows. I was just tweeting him yesterday or messaging him yesterday.
Oh,
I was looking to upgrade my computer because I'm over 6 years now. The CPU's a 2012 AMD, and the Ryzen 7, which is a late 2018, the second gen. We're on sale, and they also give you a game and a nice solid state drive. So I was like, man, I could upgrade. And my buddy at work's going to buy my old stuff off me, and it's going to be about a $300 upgrade to upgrade the CPU, motherboard, and RAM. And I'm like, that's pretty good. You know, most people don't get away with that. But then I was like, if I buy a comparable GPU to get me up like to the next leap over my old one, it's about another $400 minimum, 500 if I really wanted to go all out. So I'm looking at $800-900 to run, you know, basically have what they're saying they'd be able to do. So, and I also have a 4K TV purchase I want to make this year, and my phone's over 4 years old, and I just know at some point I'm gonna need a new phone within. I'd be shocked if it made it another year. So I'm like, I got all these expenses plus a house, and anything could go wrong. Refrigerator, stoves, all these things can break. I'm like, so instead of spending $900, and I don't buy a lot of games on Steam, so we're talking, I said in my juice opinions, I have like 12, 13 actual games on my Steam account in 7 years. A couple of them were just $2 purchases that I never intended on playing. So I'm looking at a $900 purchase solely for gaming and streaming, or I could use the the computer I have using Chrome, all the stuff I already have. And you're talking about the game should be cheaper, but when you look at it that way, it's a huge savings. The only question is, how much do you trust that those games, you know, Google's going to be around a long time. I'm pretty confident for that. But it's just like the difference between downloading a game and streaming a game. I don't know if there's enough of a difference for me not to be that comfortable doing it. If it's like here, you give us $60 and you'll be able to play this game as long as you have an internet connection. I don't like that idea. But if money was tight, and I mean, I really probably shouldn't upgrade my computer. I shouldn't throw $900 with other things I might have to spend money on. So it's got enough of an appeal in that regard that I might try it. I don't know if there's going to be demos and stuff, but I might try it for one game and just to see. But because I mean, if I didn't have to spend $900 and I could still, you know, get the performance I was looking for, it's got a little bit of appeal in that regard. So that's just one scenario. I'm not planning. I wouldn't think, oh, I'm going to play it on the phone because, like Digital Foundry said, they're not catering these games, the UI for phones. So Ubisoft's going to make the next Assassin's Creed, assuming you're going to play it on a 4K monitor or a 4K big ass 4K TV. What's the average size phone you think these days? 6-inch, 5.5?
About 6, yeah.
Imagine reading text from the new Assassin's Creed game on your phone or trying to go through settings. Like,
oh god, awful.
Unless you had like a big tablet or an iPad, you know, like I don't see how that's going to scale. So,
and here's the thing, like because I've been on Twitter and people have been saying things back and forth, and it's just like I feel like a lot of the arguments against are kind of hypocritical and built up because it's like, well, one is the price and stuff. It's like, well, what if there is no price? For one, there might not be a price other than the cost of the games. And why do they have to reveal that now? A controller, obviously, that's a cost. But why do they have to reveal that now? It's not like the system is coming out in the next couple months. And we didn't know Switch's price after it got revealed for 2 months. And then we had to wait another 2 months for it to come out.
Just like the PS4, they first showed it in like
did they
February,
give prices
March, and then they gave pricing at E3.
At E3. So I feel like there's a lot of hypocritical arguments going on right now. I think that's built from fear. I think people are just afraid of this future. I don't know if I'm afraid of. I'm just indifferent because I don't want this to be the case. But you can't fight the future. It's gonna come, and you just have to deal with it.
When I saw those comments from T about the price and shit, I was thinking like these guys are saying, oh, they revealed the price and shit. I was, man, bitch, when they revealed the Switch, you guys were, oh, this thing better not cost over $200.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right, and it did, and all that shit went away, didn't it? So
Better be 150.
right, it's like, come on, like a lot of this. I feel like a lot of the arguments are fear based.
Well, here's the thing.
Google being a big monster that it is, it's going to take over gaming and ruin it.
I don't think it's going to cost anything.
I was only concerned about the price because of what you're touting. This isn't like, oh, I made a game console, here's a flat rate, and then you just buy your games like normal. This is what they're touting seems like some unrealistic shit. Like, oh,
well,
look,
the price is only a potentially, you're either going to pay a monthly to use it, and the games come with that, or you're gonna
what are they gonna charge you for a browser? I mean,
or maybe like someone said pay for servers. I'm like, well, you're gonna charge a monthly fee and then charge full price for the game. I mean, the thing's not gonna take that. Thing's
That's not gonna
fail.
work.
But anyway, go ahead, Tro.
I'm just saying, like the skepticism comes from because of what they're touting and how much they can charge, and not necessarily that based off of previous experiences, it should be around this much. It's that we don't know where Google's head is at when it comes to the gaming space and what they consider like a premium price or a respectable price. So I can understand, and I understand what he's saying. It probably is out of fear that people are just like, I don't know how much you're going to charge for this.
Well, I'm just saying that because a lot of this stuff was happening even before anything, even before they announced, because people thought it was going to be a box and all this stuff. So there was complaints and whining and people, obviously the controller thing. And like I said, even Sean Long was still complaining about controller. And I'm like, wait a minute, like you play with the Switch Joy-Con. What are you talking about? Something being
those
small,
buttons look.
small.
To be fair, I don't necessarily think the Stadia controller looks that comfortable either, but that's a personal thing. That's just me.
It looks like it'd be equivalent to a PS4 as far as comfort,
right? It looks
very
similar to me to that. But again, perspective is that this is a person who plays
with the
Joy-Cons. So what are you even talking about at this point? So I just feel like a lot of it, and I'm not saying all of it, I feel like a lot of it has to do with just anxiety about this future of gaming.
It's very new. It's very uncharted territory.
I mean, I can see the appeal.
Because what if there is no price?
And I don't care. Like, I don't even like this thing. Like, I don't even want it. But I can still be objective about, I think it's really cool looking.
Well, here's my question.
It works the way it's supposed to.
Would you say that the competitor for this is more so PC gaming than I would say console gaming? Because that's what it feels like. It's more.
Don't even bother, because PC gamers are PC gamers. They are not going to be wanting to stream their input sensitive games. You don't want to stream StarCraft 2. You don't want to stream the types of games that PC.
Yeah, there's a decision there. You don't want to deal with. You don't want to mess with.
I think Terrell, I think you said it earlier, like when we started talking about this already, really good. Like PC gamers, they like having control.
Yeah.
Decide what the games can do, what they look like, how they run, and I feel with this system you have no control on anything.
Right. Google has all the control.
It's like what they said, like no hackers, no cheating and shit. There is even when you stream, you don't own it. It comes via them, so you have zero control on anything, I feel.
Google have the PC. That's what you got to remember.
Yeah.
They have the PC there. No one can touch it. No one can do anything with it. You will play what they tell you to play, and people in certain markets, this is why I'm not, I'll do my own video on this, at some point, but it's also why I'm not also too too scared at the moment, just currently, because
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
I don't feel like this is a right now thing. I think this is even 10 years from now type of situation where it'll be more viable.
People always like specific things that do something really well. We've always said that, you know, with whatever media it is, we like specific things that do certain things really well. And until streaming, and I'm talking way in the future now, is at the point where it is literally flawless in everything that it can offer, then it's going to be no threat to.
Well, that because there are a bunch of different variables depending on where you live. Not everyone has the same internet connection.
I don't think
right.
we ever will.
But
we ever will.
I think here's the thing. I'm glad you brought up the internet connection thing, because here's the thing. That's another thing that people have been using as a negative. Who gives a shit what the other person? This is about this is your setup. So for me, none of those negatives about the internet connection, you know, the speed and all that, I have none of those issues. Like I'll be able to run this system pretty well, or this platform, whatever you want to call it, pretty well. I'll be able to stream and all that stuff pretty well with my speed and all that stuff. So I have no problem with it, but I still don't care. You know, like I don't have to use those as negatives for me, because I just, as a platform itself, I don't care about.
Well, here's how you know.
Personal level, right.
Get on YouTube using Chrome, because I don't think it's anywhere else. Search 4K demo, click on the 4K 60 option, and if it plays without pausing, then you have fast enough internet, basically. And if you have pausing, then put it to 1080.
I can't do it. I could only do 1080.
So then and then you gotta add a little bit of, take away some, because it's also receiving from the controller, you know, so there's some upload going on. Okay. So if you got a decent connection, that would be something I'd need to know too. But it's funny, they kept showing Assassin's Creed. They did a beta on it in like October. They talked about. I want to talk about a game that's just showed some slow pace exploration. They didn't show any combat. Like a perfect example of the type of game that doesn't need as crucial of a input. Like imagine playing Donkey Kong Country type of precision platformer and have an input lag, you know, like there's just gonna be certain types of games, I think, no matter what, fighting games and all that, you know, plus you're streaming at the same time, like that to me would require, it seems like the internet connection speed would have to double to be able to stream the game while it simultaneously streams to YouTube. I don't know. Or maybe it's because it's streaming to YouTube, it's not coming through your line. Maybe it's going through a different server or something. But so yeah, there's a lot of unknowns there. The thing about PC gamers like to customize their settings. If this basically plays a game like you have a 10.7 teraflop GPU, then there are no settings. That's max settings, highest resolution, highest, you know, unless you need 120 frames per second, then you need a $1,300 graphics card anyway. So this already doesn't, you know, appeal to you, because the whole thing's about saving.
Yeah, no, but I mean, some people with some games, for example, you know, you get people like to add more light, change contrast, add bloom, remove shadows. Like some people really like to customize.
I mean, maybe they like to do that, but most people do that just so they can get the game running smoother. You know, it's not.
Yeah, but I mean, there are some people who have.
Tell me a console game where you can change the shadows and contour. Like, I mean, I guess you're talking about PC guys specifically, but most games you can't adjust a whole lot anyway. So, but and then for me, seeing, hey, these you don't got to.
Well, yeah, but you can also change the contrast on the console, so that's the difference.
On the TV, you can change contrast, but yeah, they probably still have the brightness setting options and stuff to set in the beginning of the game.
As far as in reference to PC gaming, it's more so, do I care to swap to this when, especially because the other thing is a lot of PC gamers play a lot of old games and also play games with a bunch of mods on them. And I
was gonna say mods, they like
the customization, and I think the mod scene is the scene that's gonna be the most like, yeah, I'm good, because if there's no
thing is, though, they can still the people that are modding games they're also less inclined to pay for a game. So
that's not inherently
That's
true.
not necessarily true.
No, we're not talking about like illegal hacks. Like this, like modding community on Steam is really big. Like that's supported by most companies always.
Yeah.
yeah, as long as if I get in a game and I want to play a game, I want a definite line saying I don't want any modded BS in my game experience. That's why I could never get a Call of Duty or anything on the PC.
Most people mod. I mean, they do modded multiplayer games, but it's like the Skyrims and the like, people like the mod.
I linked a video last night about
I saw that
modders
video,
who fixed games when developers couldn't, and Bethesda's had 3 games on that list. I get that, but I think that is a very specific group of people. I don't know how big the base is of someone like that really needs to mod a game to enjoy.
Well, you're saying PC gamers. You're talking about those guys because they care.
PC gamers. That's a good chunk of PC gamers that do that.
And for example,
I'm not talking about people who play on PC. We're talking PC gamers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I work with a guy who's only PC gamer for the last like 15 years, and he doesn't mod or anything. He just plays the game straight.
It's not even. It's a package of all of that. You have like the modding. You have like the changing the settings the way you want, and there's something that I like because. You guys know me. I'm a big Bethesda fan, but games like that, they are filled with bugs. And I like the idea when I'm playing for Skyrim, for example. I'm like, fuck, this character isn't loading. Console command click, okay, fix. You can't do that either on a streaming service. Like you're gonna have millions of people gonna have the same bugs over and over, and like having to patch it like that and fix it with this with this setup. You gotta like wait like maybe months before you can play a game
I
again.
How you've accepted that Bethesda's games need to be patched by the user base.
No, but I know that the fact that I like that game, I'm just protecting them like the gods. Like that's all that comes with that shit.
That's just
not all mods are to fix the game. Some of them are just to make cool little.
No, I like it. Some people like I've added some mods in Skyrim where some people make like tea sets, so you can make tea and shit in the game. Right. I've done shit like that. Like people make an awesome house somewhere, or like update like graphics and shit.
I have to play a Bethesda game.
I guess because people would say, "Oh, well, the issue with PC gaming is that I always have to update my graphics card if I want to play some of the latest games." And to be fair, Stadia would help with that, but I guess it's a kind of a give and take situation because I have to install a game, but I can also uninstall it and still have it on my console. I mean, have it in my Steam library, and then I can like copy the save file over and go to a completely different PC and do the same thing. Like,
you just hit the nail on the head. Like you just said that there are PC gamers who would never touch this thing, but there are people who play on their PC that look at the benefits of just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't have to deal with all this nonsense that I usually have to deal with. So there's still a group of people. There's mostly casual. And I think a lot of the younger kids, like I was saying, my kids and stuff, they would definitely play this stuff without even thinking twice about it. So
we do need to mention one thing, and it's the most important: game lineup, because that is going to dictate how many people are going to be interested out the gate for this.
And that was another thing that people were complaining about. Oh, the games lineup. We don't know what games. I'm like. We left the January event for Switch not really knowing what the damn launch lineup was going to be. But I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm just saying it's hypocritical to complain about the games at this point. It's not like the thing is coming out in months. And you already have an idea. I mean, the thing has Doom Eternal on it. So it's not like it's not going to have games.
What was the PS4's reveal? What games were shown there that people thought were coming to the system? It was like 6 games, and like 3 of them were tech demos that never showed up.
So I'm just saying it's somewhat hypocritical to complain about some of
these things.
At least I would have been better. I would have been happier if they had shown at least one original game. I didn't need like a full trailer or some shit. Just show like one real game that's going to come out on the system.
Maybe they will before it comes out. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it might.
Still have time.
It might come out.
December. I'm judging this off of what we were shown today. I'm not necessarily. That's why I'm holding it to the standard. Like
I'm surprised. Honestly,
I get what you're saying, but my point is that a lot of these complaints weren't coming out of other and I get it because these consoles have been around. Google's a new thing. Blah blah. I get that totally. But what I'm saying is, it's not just complaining. Is I see like people cutting their heads off and running around like it's
If this,
like it's
yeah, I guess
apocalypse.
I would understand the games thing more if you were coming out of this expecting to have to spend money on hardware and stuff.
Another
Like,
thing. You're not buying hardware.
I was just about to say
so
they
the
could-
games that'll come will be the games that are ready, and because it sounds like it's not like it's just
You don't need a killer app. I don't think
it's not like a porting process, or maybe it is a little bit of a porting process, but it's basically AMD, so it's going to be very similar to any PS4, Xbox One game. And someone said earlier about they don't think developers are going to take the reins, and Google needs to. And it's the next Assassin's Creed is going to be made. It's going to be on Stadia, but it's going to be made just like the last Assassin's Creed. It's going to play on the PS5. It's going to play on the next Xbox, and it's going to be on Steam or Uplay or whatever. And then Stadia is going to have it. And that's just all the way it is. You're not going to get games that are made for Stadia with this massive open world because they have access to, multiple of these GPUs or whatever, and they can make all this physics and stuff. And then the game's not going to be able to work on your mainline consoles.
Because that's the thing, yeah. It's like what they said. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna give all the tools people, the developers can create everything they ever wanted." They didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck with the Xbox One X. They still made them shit.
They're not gonna do.
Why would
That's
they care
just
now.
Yeah, that's just corporate speak. They're not gonna do anything special.
Well,
most developers are. Special is gonna come from Google themselves. They're the ones gonna be thinking about how cool can what cool things can we use.
Like you have all this tech, you would think like I would expect a tailored experience that takes advantage of the aspect of the Stadia platform. Like that to me, if you just
you're going to have advantages. You're going to have the instant boot up. You're going to have the save instantly work from one device to the next. So you're going to have people that have been envious
from your.
They're envious of the Switch, but can't buy a Nintendo system.
But that's like the advantage. Like even though it's not a console, that's kind of the advantage of the platform. Like
so that's I think it's me more like that focus than oh my god, look at
way. I mean, I want more of a like when it comes also because we're gamers. Like who the fuck wants to see all this cool tech? Who the hell wants to see a tech demo when you could just show me a game doing all this shit? Like I don't want to. I'm not interested in the idea of look at all these things developers can do.
No,
but everybody does this. Everybody has done this. And
look at the PlayStation 3 reveal.
No, exactly. Like
you know the type of games that get made.
You got to cut them the same slack you cut, PS3 and all these other companies when they come out with their demos. Their ducks in a pond or their birds in the Japanese house and all that stuff.
That's bad practice in general. That's the whole point.
Yeah. They're obviously not ready to show that stuff.
And to be fair, it's kind of like the joke that Game Explain made that fit perfectly with me. It reminded, I think they said in their video, it reminded them of like an old 2000s E3 press conference, and it kind of does in certain aspects because it's relying on shit that like I don't know. I think we've kind of moved past as a I want to say community. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess as an industry.
Yeah, Sony bowed out of E3, so we all moved past it now.
Maybe Google will be there.
So like that's my issue. It's like okay, cool. You have this thing that you want to show, and you've shown it, and it looks all right. But it's like
I don't understand what else. How else would they have shown it? And like I don't know. Because all presentations, especially GDC, they're all relics of the 2000s. This is not something new that only Google has done. Anybody who has a GDC press conference or whatever, they're all the same. Like
because it isn't new. That's the problem.
Well, neither is streaming your games. That's nothing new. OnLive did that in 2011. So this whole setup is not new. It's just the way that they do it, and that's what they explained. They explained how how they're going to be different from OnLive, basically. Like that's what they.
All I needed to see was
showing
Doom Eternal, and I was like, all right, there's a game. Yeah, there's a game. There's a game.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, like everybody, that was the game that everybody demoed when they first, So
I would just expect multi-plat games to pretty much be there, especially maybe not day and date this year. I mean, depending when it comes out. I just think it's going to be another avenue for multi-plats. I mean, maybe they'll have some exclusives that might draw some people in, but
right. And I won't care about those games, the multi-plats on the service. Maybe you'll get me interested when you show me a exclusive game that you're working on and you're really doing something cool with your tech. That maybe.
And if all it is, I mean,
interested. And then all I got to do is buy a game. I already have Chrome. Like that. Look, that's the benefit of this. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where this will exceed or excel where others have failed, because it's like everybody has. Yeah, potentially. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to succeed, but it has. Unlike on live, on live didn't have Google behind it. So there was a lot of things they screwed up, and I feel like if they're smart, they learn from the previous guys who tried to do this. And I think, I hate to admit it, I think they got it figured out.
It seems like, they have a better approach, but people tried to bring VR back, and that was a little splash in the pan. And
I've learned from just this generation in general, never to just trust anything outright. You maintain.
So it may look back on this day and this year when this comes out and be the little infant child of this amazing thing 10 years from now, or in 2 years from now, it might be forgotten, like 3D on 3D, televisions.
Right.
And traditional boxes are still the way to go. Who knows?
The thing, that's just the thing with me. I don't trust or distrust this. Like I'm pretty indifferent. Like if it works, great. And you got to do something. Still got to do something above it working to get me interested. Like I said, maybe it's a cool app that you guys have that that's exclusive to this platform. Maybe I'll look to check that out. But I mean, I have nothing to lose with this. They have everything to lose. It doesn't matter to me
Nintendo tried.
That's on them.
Nintendo's done it with 2 games, and Assassin's Creed Odyssey was one of them in Japan. And I don't even know how that went, but
from what I hear, it works fine if you're in Japan.
I didn't like the price. I didn't care for the pricing structure they came up with for that, like a 3-month rental or something for $20. Like that's still the biggest hurdle. Like I know clocked it. You've said something in chat. You wanted to say something. How do you, in your mind, because you have some games on Steam, right?
I got about 150 games on Steam.
Okay.
Wow.
So to you, how far away is buying a game and streaming it from their server versus downloading it and owning it that way? How big's the gap to you?
The gap is astronomical. I mean, I got 150 games on Steam, and I can't remember who mentioned this. It might have been T, or it might have been you actually. It's just that most of that shit you buy in bundles and in the sale.
Mm-hmm.
So I never, ever, not once bought a full-priced digital download game on Steam. Not once, ever.
I did twice.
I think I
never will.
Yeah, the most I've spent on a single game on Steam is the most I'll spend on any digital item, and now it's probably between £15 and £20, which would be $15 and $20 these days.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't bring myself to pay any more for something I don't own. And there's the argument, you can on Steam, it's always there. You can download it. Yeah, it's still not mine. If Valve disappeared tomorrow, which if you look at Valve, they could easily fucking do. With the way things are going, they don't give a shit about Steam anymore either. They honestly don't. You can click on Steam and half of the links don't even work. Honestly, go like even on like the search bar, you type in search or something, and most of the time it don't fucking work. They don't care anymore. So the way your digital content works, it's never safe. Ever, ever, ever. I don't care what anyone says, carrying over for whatever platform, it's never safe. So I don't want to spend the money. I don't want to spend an obscene amount of money on building up that library.
Yeah.
And in terms of streaming, I just, I don't have anything against streaming. Like I said earlier, it's fine. It can exist. It's another way to play games. but it's not another way for me to play games. It's just like not another way for me to play games on mobile phones. I can't fucking stand it. It's just, it is not for me. You're taking something away from me that is fundamental to me for gaming, and that's full control.
And you want the same stuff. They still want the same price, and you're taking away from me.
Yeah, the only way you can get full control is through direct input, and that's through absolutely everything in life. And like I said, until streaming gets to the point where it is one-on-one, and I know we are a very long way away from that, then I'm not interested. You know, it doesn't mean I'm brushing it off, telling them they can't do it or shouldn't do it. It's just that I'm not interested. Never will be.
Yeah, I would say I think the gap's smaller than you think, or than in your opinion, how you feel. I think it's not. I'm thinking that people who have accepted the digital download for years, like I was telling you, the guy I work with, he hasn't bought a physical game probably in over 10 years, I would guess. It's not even a question for him. He doesn't even think about it. For me, I feel Google, like you said, Steam, Valve, they could go under. They could, claim bankruptcy, or I mean, maybe someone would probably take it over. But I feel I would honestly, if I had to say which one I feel better about 10 years from now being there, I'd say just because of the size of Google, that's probably a safer bet. Saying that, I mean, I had Sonic Generations in 2012, and I could download it right now and play it. I don't have it on my hard drive because it's not worth keeping on there, because it's a trash game. So, but in 7 years, I mean, that game is still there. It's just a 20-minute download away, But if the internet went down, any game I can still play my Steam games that are downloaded. It doesn't matter that there's an internet connection. So that's the biggest, I think, potential issue is it's not like internets go down all the time, but if they lose a server or something for a day or two, I mean, it's not just one game. It's not just some online component. It's any game you might have purchased through them is now inaccessible.
Tech giants, Microsoft, Sony, and stuff. God, I remember when I was in my World of Warcraft height, and the servers went down on World of Warcraft. I was twitching like a fucking crack fiend. Honestly, I was sitting there. You keep on trying to log in, error, and you're like, I'm about to commit harakiri here.
I mean, that's one game. Imagine if every game would stop.
Yeah, imagine if every single game, imagine you just stripped of it. It's just, I mean, these situations, for the most part, rarely happen, but it's the fact that they do happen, and it all depends then on where you are and what you're doing, of course. So
and it's
because
it's
you're
not
not
just a platform thing.
Go on.
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, go on, T.
No, I was just saying you're talking about platforms, and it's not just being Steam or whatever, paying that full price. I've done that twice on. I did it twice on Wii U. I bought Assassin's Creed 3 and Monster Hunter Ultimate on Wii U, digital, full price. And I'm still disgusted with myself for having done that.
What did I pay for Monster Hunter?
I actually went back and bought those games physical because I was so disgusted with myself. What was I thinking at the time?
Well, I'm gonna have a opposite story, and you guys are gonna probably hate me a little bit, but unrelated. I also bought Monster Hunter, and I paid $8 digitally. So, and I played it for an hour. But anyway,
is this
honestly, I mean, if you want to just get right down to the realest of real here, buying let's say Yoshi or the next Nintendo first party IP digitally on my Switch, and judging the confidence I'd have that game would be playable on the next system purchase versus my confidence in buying a game on Google and it's going to be there for a long time, I'm going to choose Google.
Yeah.
Here's my thing, what I feel about that though, because I feel like I'm a physical collector. I like having my shit here and everything. it was hard for me to go to Steam, and I don't buy Steam full priced either games, shit like that, you know. But I have a pretty robust library. I have over 200 games, I think, on Steam. I buy a lot of shit there. It was hard making that transition, but like I feel like I don't own my games as much as I do now. I feel with this Surface, and it's a weird way of saying it, but like I don't know how else to word it. I feel with Stadia, I don't even own the Surface. I own less than nothing. It's like if like what Juice just said, if you lose like Valve, everything I could still have, you know, I have downloaded without. I
As long as
still
your hard
own these
drive
things.
doesn't fail.
But it's like, you know, but that's what I mean. But with this system, I just mean like I own even less. Like if one thing even happens, like there's nothing left ever anywhere and shit. So I feel like as hard as it was to go to Steam, I still feel I have some shit there that I own. And I feel with Stadia, like I would never go there because it's like you literally own nothing and shit. Like it's just it's not for me that. Like I feel like with Steam, like I said, it was so hard to go there and shit. I'm having fun. I like Steam, I like the community, everything you can do and everything. But by now I've come to the point with Steam, I'm getting something out of it. But like Stadia will never offer me that because I'm not like fucking PewDiePie or some shit like that, you know? Like this offers nothing to me.
I would say,
do you remember in 2012, just real quickly, in 2012 when having to be online to play your games was the worst thing of all time ever conceived? Remember that?
that's
When
2013, yeah.
Or 2013, sorry. Remember when Microsoft got shellacked for even thinking of, you know, making you be online to play your games? So it's funny how far we've come too.
Yeah, now there's games, the biggest games in the world are solely reliant on online only. Like,
Right.
Anthem, and not Anthem, but what's the EA shooter?
like
Division?
Apex.
Oh no,
Apex and Fortnite,
Legends. Well,
are the two biggest games, and those are online only.
but they're free. So that was part of the thing. Is like I had to pay for this, and then you have to be online too. Like that's crazy.
They're free to people like us, but there's so many people probably have over $60 price and shit they bought. The couple things I want to talk about comparing Stadia to like other media, because you guys are more like about the physical when it comes to the gaming. For me, it's all about the movies when it's physical, but it's not just a sense of ownership for me. It's I guess it's the curse of having like a high fidelity like theater room. It's not, streaming is at the point, and it's probably getting close to give me that full uncompressed 7.1 audio. Videos, I think, is getting right there. It might even be distinguishable at this point, depending on, like, if you buy a game digitally or buy a movie digitally. I don't know about streaming it. So for me, the physical media for Blu-ray is all about just the audio quality. I mean, you can't. I've rented. I've put digital versions on like Amazon and watch movies that way, and it's like going back to like the early days of DVD with the Dolby Digital 5.1. Once you've experienced like just uncompressed audio, for me, it's hard to go back. But the scary thing is you go to a Best Buys and Walmart's now, and the Blu-ray racks, shelves for Blu-rays is about a quarter of what it used to be. So I know that physical media for movies days are numbered. Just an example, Aquaman comes out on the 26th. They don't even have a standard Blu-ray version anymore. It's the 4K Blu-ray Collector's Edition or the 4K Blu-ray Standard Edition. Comes with the regular Blu-ray, but they've decided to just not even put out the standard Blu-ray by itself for $1 billion movie, you know? And I'm just like, fuck. Like, I have to, if I want to own it at this point, I have to pay the $30 fucking dollars, which I'm not going to, but if I wanted it day one, $30, and it comes with the 4K Blu-ray I'm paying for that, eventually I might utilize, but right now I'm going straight to the Blu-ray standard disc. So I'm paying extra for something I'm not even using, and that's my option.
That's what they want you to do, though, isn't it? It's all about pushing you into the market that they want you to go. You know,
but the 4K Blu-ray players and everything, there's basically stagnant, and the Blu-rays sales are stagnant, and Walmart even went back to DVDs last year.
Why is that?
Because of fucking
streaming, my boy.
And so they give you like Aquaman's available right now. You could watch it, buy it digitally. You can't rent it. You have to buy it digitally. It's cheaper, but I don't think they have a 4K option. So that, that's a thing happening for me that affects me more than the streaming service will right now. And I'm just like, they better get that, that other stuff and play the audio and that stuff better come with the sacrifice I'm going to have to make eventually is getting rid of those physical media. Music. When's the last time anybody's bought a CD?
Oh shit! I bought one like last week, man.
Okay.
You dinosaur.
Terrell's whatever he needed to do.
There hasn't been music good enough for me to buy it anyway, so that's the problem.
That's because you don't listen to the good music.
See, I haven't bought the last time I bought a CD was a couple years ago.
New music, I should say.
Because I wanted to support the band. Somebody had given me the CDs to rip to my computer, and then I was like, you know what? These Volbeat is like just this great band, and I just want to support them. So I bought all the CDs I already had the music for, I didn't even have to open them because I don't listen. I don't even have a CD player in the house anymore. I guess other than game consoles, I guess PS4 technically would play it. So I've been an iTunes guy, and I pay for all my music. I don't
think
feel it.
CDs,
I think it does. I think either that.
Pay for your music. You're a dinosaur too.
I pay for my. I want a specific song. Yeah, I go on Pandora and
I'm just kidding.
I can type a band's name, and every fifth or sixth song you'll hear that band, a song you can't choose. I don't mind that. I put my Bluetooth speaker on. I'll be cooking or something. That's fine. But I like supporting the artist. So if someone comes out with an album I like, I buy the whole thing digital, and I've been doing that for a couple years now. Yes, it's downloaded on my computer and on I still have an iPod. Talk about being a dinosaur. I don't have an iPhone, but I have an iPod. I have all my music there. I have it on a USB flash drive in my truck. So I have,
iPods make you a dinosaur now? What the hell?
I guess so, because everybody just plays music on their phone now. They don't even have.
Wow. I have like 3 iPods. I still use.
Yeah, most people it's like, oh, why do you have 2 phones? I'm like, no, it's an iPod. And like,
that's funny because
why do you have that? But
somebody asked me that the other day.
Like a couple of years ago, I still walk with a fucking Discman in my coat.
So it's like if you go outside of gaming, that stuff's kind of a little more commonplace. The difference is, and I know the reason Google's trying this, and they're talking about the 2 billion gamers and the 40 billion hours of games people watched on YouTube and all that, is they're looking at Netflix and how much money they're making. And the thing that I would say in any board meeting to any executive, I don't care if it's the head guy at Google, whatever his name is, I'd say the difference between streaming a movie or a show and streaming a game is the difference between watching a basketball game, that's Netflix, that's a movie, and going and being an athlete and playing basketball. It's night and day. That's what gaming is. It's playing the thing. So it's you're not just watching, you're interacting. So it's got to be like all the things people like about playing the game, and the input lag and all that needs to be right for that to even work. It seems like they're aware of the input lag and they talked about it. It's low and all this and stuff. But yeah, there's a huge difference there in my opinion. Because I mean, does anybody even know when's the first time a actual theater movie was aired on TV? I'm guessing it was like 40, 50, 60 years ago. So movies have been just on your TV without having a physical thing for so long. That's not even new. So if this thing fails, I would say it, and people are like, well, Netflix works. Well, there's a reason, because gaming's never just been now it is with a spectator sport with all the YouTube watching and stuff, but I think there's a huge difference there that they don't really consider. But anyway, I think that's it. I think we need to get out of here, and it's been just over 2 hours. So, any final thoughts? I don't know if Terrell's gonna be back for. He's had to do something, so
his mom come in the room and scare the shit out of him.
Yeah, he's helping his mom or something. But just quick final thoughts. We'll wrap this up and get the hell out of here. Let's go to Retro Death.
Oh my God!
Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. I didn't even know what to say in my final thoughts. I'm seriously, I wasn't expecting, like, I was finished with this, like, Arcadia, Stadia thing, whatever. I keep wanting to say Arcadia because of you now.
Too. I don't know.
Because of you. So the Stadia thing, and I was like, man, this shit was so fucking boring. I don't want to talk about this shit for 2.5 hours. But, like, I can't believe how much fun I've had and shit. I don't know, maybe it's gonna have been away for a while. It was so much fun, though, especially the beginning shit and everything. But, like, all I can say is, this shit is not for me. I don't care now. I won't care later. Like, I won't care about the price. I won't care about what games come on. I won't care about the fact that I can barely read, like, Monster Hunter letters on my giant TV, let alone on the goddamn, like, portable and shit. Like, I don't care. So those are my final words.
All right. Clocked it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a bit like Retro. I've already, bust my balls talking about this trash. But like I said, it's people. I think a lot of people are going to snap this up, and I think they're going to enjoy it. I got no interest in it. I don't want it to be to start a new trend, which is what happens a lot in this industry when we get these type of tech giants coming in. But I mean, like T says, it's the future, whether we like it or not. I don't fucking like it, and I won't subscribe to it and kiss my ass and suck my balls.
All right, T.
I don't know how to follow that.
You're supposed to say, like, yes, suck my balls too.
Well, yes, like coming to America.
Yeah, you too.
Fuck you too.
Yeah, I mean, I went in with no expectations, and I came out with no expectations. It is interesting. Like I said, the tech is a lot better than what we had, with OnLive and whatnot back then. So I'm expecting, and Google is a bigger company, and they have the backing to do some cool things. So I'm just gonna wait and see. And I'm interested in, like I said in my last video, I'm interested in new experiences, and you can offer me that. Not with the tech that you have, then I'll be interested. But just being able to play, current games or slightly future games on my Chrome, that doesn't move me much. So, but yeah, great podcast, and play Nintendo Foods while you still can, because it's coming. It's over. It's almost over.
I kind of get streaming for us. Sorry. I said it could work out for. Yeah, I mean, we diss it now and stuff, in some aspects, but as our podcast grows and stuff, I mean, it could work out for streaming certain games for us far easier than it would be all of us owning certain consoles.
I see. Oh, T's playing, or we'll say more likely Terrell's streaming Smash Brothers on YouTube. Oh, there's the play. I mean, it wouldn't be Smash Brothers, but click the play button, and there's 3 people ahead of you. Wait, and then counts down. Oh, you're playing just like an online game, and then boom, you're in a match. That's a cool idea. So
I was thinking about that earlier too. They say, oh, you don't have to switch this, you have to switch that. But then I was like, wait, the only reason I installed Chrome fucking thing was because I can't talk to you bastards on this podcast. I don't use Chrome. I use Firefox. So I'm like watching Terrell stream. Then, Terrell streaming quickly. I can be like second in line. Gotta close this, gotta open my new tab, my new browser shit. By the time I'm there, I'm like 10th place,
Fucking Firefox, whatever. But my final thoughts will be just that I think the biggest win this could have for me is if there's an option to do more than just buy. Like, you want to try I don't know. I'm trying to think of a game. You know, maybe a game I didn't give a shot because I didn't want to buy it, but now I own, like, let's say Rocket League 2 years before it, or 2 years after it came out. If there's like, hey, for a couple, but whatever the pricing would be, try this game for 12 hours or 24 hours, and it had to be it couldn't be like $10 because then that's just, unless you could beat it, I guess, and be done with it. But still, if it, no cost, no like investment in hardware or something, but I could try out some game that maybe it looks kind of interesting, but I'm on the fence about. I could see that being something I would utilize more than, I'm going to pay $60 to play the next Tomb Raider on Stadia. You know, I don't think that's ever going to happen anytime soon. But Tomb Raider is the only game I've ever paid full price for on Steam.
You idiots!
The last 2 Tomb Raiders, so happily paid that and enjoyed that. So anyway, good podcast. I was hoping Google would have more for us to talk about, like an actual console with game, physical games or downloads. That's what I was kind of hoping for. So there's a lot more to talk about. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna go watch find out if Moto is better than Wave Race.
It uploaded. I didn't even notice.
It's not at 1080p yet, so I'm gonna watch it. But yeah, we'll be back. And Terrell, he's back. What up?
Hey,
You missed it. Final thoughts are over, and we'll see you guys next week.